I'm not really that on board with VR right now. I think it's a gimmick. This is very similar to me as the advent of motion control technology. Back when last generation we had the PlayStation Move and the Xbox Kinect, and
Jesus, what? Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Nerdstrodamus. I'm Dr. Pants.
Lambo.
I'm Punk.
And it's time we go back. We have to revisit an old episode of Nerdstrodamus long, long ago when Nerdstrodamus was still young. Back before Punk was even here.
Oh, no.
We talked about VR in like our 4th episode ever.
Yeah.
And I think now that we've all experienced VR, we need to talk about it.
Yeah.
So, 3 out of the 4 members of Nerdstrodamus now own a PSVR.
Yes.
I bought it day one at $500.
You're a little mad, right?
I am.
Yeah, sorry, Punk. Sorry. But we've all had a chance to mess with it, and it's nice to kind of go back and look at what we originally said and kind of now comment on it. Like, don't give me that look.
Because at the time, we were really excited for the I think the experience of it, because that was the thing I was most excited about. I had never done VR until actually my very, very first VR session is available online to stream, because we did it live when I was playing Beat Saber. And and the experience of it is like kind of entering a weird other universe. So it is,
My first experience we filmed, but we couldn't use, and that was me playing Beat Saber at Keystone.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I was using a Vive. Yeah. But
It was pretty.
It was really pretty. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what are we going to start with here?
I think we'll start with quizzing you guys on your knowledge of VR and the history.
Okay.
History of VR.
History of VR.
Oh, no.
Because today there's a lot of relatively affordable options. But it wasn't always that way, of course.
I would argue that some of it's still not affordable, but...
But at least today we have like access, and people have options, and especially with the Oculus Go, which is only I think retails at $199.
Yeah,
there's a lot of options like right this second for people to go and game and watch TV and all that other stuff in VR.
Google Cardboard's $15.
There you go.
Wasn't Microsoft putting out a VR?
Maybe.
Like 2 years ago at E3?
Maybe
There was
5 years ago.
I saw something. They were playing Minecraft with a VR.
HoloLens.
whatever.
Anyway.
Okay.
The very, very first actual working prototype for VR goes back to 1968. Yeah, believe it or not. This guy named Ivan Sutherland, he built this this contraption, and it was actually so ridiculously heavy it needed to be mounted on the ceiling. And you kind of like stuck your head up in it.
Oh, okay.
But it was the very, very first time we actually ever had, fully immersive, like a VR experience. And at the time, it was only like, wireframe models inside and stuff like that. But it was still probably pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to ask you guys, what do you think this giant machine was called? Because they gave it a name because of its size and shape. Was it called Excalibur? The Sword of Damocles? Mjolnir, or the Hammer of Fortuna?
I think it was Mew Mew.
The Sword of Damocles. I'm going with that one.
Okay, so you say Mew Mew Meow Meow?
Mew Mew.
And Sword of Damocles. The answer is the Sword of Damocles!
Yes!
Yes! Apparently it was just so ridiculously big, and it kind of earned this kind of mythical name. So that's that.
I guess I'll leave now.
Wasn't the Sword of Damocles big? Like, wasn't that the...
Yeah, that was the deal with it.
Okay, so yeah.
Here's the next deal. The first, very, very first, and it can be argued, VR game was an Atari arcade machine.
Oh.
It wasn't exactly VR. You stuck your face into into like a little like kind of periscope style thing. It might be familiar to you. I'm going to ask you, what was the name of the game? Was it called Down Periscope, Deep Water Challenge, Battle Zone, or Wartide?
It's not Down Periscope. That's a Kelsey Grammer movie.
We've seen it.
I love that movie. Deep Water Challenge. Was it Battle Zone, you said?
Battle Zone VR is now on PlayStation VR.
Yeah, but isn't it tanks?
Yeah.
Yeah, Battlezone's a different game.
Okay.
What was it? Deepwater Challenge, and what was the other one?
Wartide.
Wartide. I'm going with Deepwater Challenge.
I was leaning that way as well.
Also Deepwater Challenge. The answer is Battlezone, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
We should have...
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Even though it was a Periscope style situation, I believe it was a tank game, but I'll have to take a look.
Okay.
But this was at an arcade?
Yeah, it was an arcade
So
machine.
a bunch of dirty people.
Yeah, we pressed their faces up against it.
Well, this was back before,
Yeah.
we knew the dangers of
Yeah.
bacteria.
Yeah, we didn't know germs cause disease.
Oh boy.
No, but there actually was a kind of VR version as well that you kind of stick your
okay.
through. Because the other kind of virtual reality game that I remember that was sort of like that was actually like Silent Scope. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, where you actually, look through the sniper rifle
Yeah.
scope and...
Even though it wasn't fully immersive, it was still more.
It was cool. It was
Yeah.
cool.
And finally, what was the first company to actually showcase and attempt to market a home VR set? I'm going to give you, was it Sega? Was it Nintendo? Was it Commodore? Or Atari? Who was
A
the
home
first? And I'll use the word attempt because I'll just say it was an attempt.
So it didn't actually hit retail?
It didn't actually hit retail.
Well, then it's not Nintendo, because Nintendo actually, released the Virtual Boy and it hit the market.
Yeah.
That didn't mean it had to be their first one. But I'm just being
Yeah.
mean about it. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure as Nintendo fans as we are, we would know. Is this like an actual VR headset?
It was, yeah, and
Okay.
it looked really weird. It sort of looked like RoboCop,
Oh.
and the way they showed it off, it worked apparently a lot like the ones that exist today. It apparently
Wow.
had inertial sensors inside it that kind of knew when you were leaning your head back and forth, and you could look around you.
Well, I mean, given the fact that Atari was the first one to put out an arcade
Yeah.
game one, it would make sense that it was Atari. But I'm also leaning towards Sega because Sega had this. Sega had this controller that was a hexagon you could put on the floor, and it would actually track your movements
Yeah.
for fighting games and whatnot.
I'll say Sega.
I'm gonna say Atari.
And the answer is Sega. Woo!
Okay.
So is that one for both of you or two for both of you?
I think that was one for both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
But
So we're both just as bad at VR knowledge as the other.
indeed.
High five.
And
Yeah, I don't have to leave now.
Yeah.
And everybody out there is a little bit smarter or
I guess.
something like that. But no, the Sega one was apparently designed, and they had a bunch of just Sega Genesis games apparently running on it.
Oh.
And they didn't end up releasing it because they said because it was too realistic, but I guess that's code for it made everybody want to throw up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and whatever. I think the little fight pad might have been some kind of evidence of that.
Yeah.
The Mattel's Power Glove was also an attempt originally at making a virtual
Yeah.
reality
Yeah.
machine,
Yeah.
and they only got so far as
Yeah.
that horrible thing. So there's a lot
What
of
are you talking about? It's so bad.
yeah. There's a lot of interesting little tidbits there, but really it skips almost from there to now, as far as people moving it forward, because there have been virtual reality experiences all the way through.
Right, but nothing
Yeah.
but nothing that was mainstream in home.
Yeah.
That was affordable. We had the Virtual Boy, which was not VR. It was basically the first version of the 3DS.
Right.
But now we've got.
Yeah. And basically every VR setup kind of looked like Lawnmower Man until now. So it was people all set up with all kinds of wire, and it's still like that. The best VR setups are tons and tons of wires.
So that
It takes a lot of space. It's clunky. We're still there yet. But
So that episode of Community.
yeah, just like that. That's about as good as it gets still.
But now we've got, and we'll go back and talk about this, but we have Oculus, we have Vive, and we have the PSVR. Those are the main ones we've got. The Oculus Rift is still out there, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay,
Like I
I
said, that they just put out the Oculus Go. It's actually separate. It's actually completely wireless.
Right.
You can download things to the headset itself.
Nice.
Now I see that
Yeah.
one, they always advertise it that you're sitting somewhere and just watching something, you can kind of move
There's
around.
There's games with it too.
Oh, I'm
as
sure,
well.
I'm
Yeah.
sure. But the HTC Vive seems to be the one that people go to for PC gaming, and it's also much more expensive.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it is probably the best experience you could get home retail. But then you've got this, which, Lambo, how much did the PSVR set cost you?
Well, I ended up getting a post Christmas eBay situation. So everything with the Move controllers ran me about $250.
That's
I'm sorry, Punk.
Thanks.
Cool, man.
But still, like, getting it now, there's so many things out there you can play with it, and 250. Well, back in the day, I argued that, like, it's almost as much as the console itself, which it was at 500.
Yeah, it was.
And 250 arguably is the price of the console now, but it's a way easier amount to kind of swallow than what it was. And the experience is still really good. It still works really well.
Once I actually experienced it, I was actually really angry because I'm now suddenly like, why aren't more people super excited about it all the time? Because unlike a lot of other, like, you know, gimmicky things, you know, out there in the
Okay, you can't blame me for thinking it was a gimmick at first. You can't blame me for that.
Unlike other gimmicky things, this actually is as good as, or even better than you can imagine, I think, before you try it. And it does change the way that gaming makes me feel.
Yeah.
Which I think is the biggest weird thing, because I never thought I could even feel anything ever again.
And here's what we gotta say is, it's something that you can't understand until you've experienced it. And you have to experience the right thing. Because, like, if you get just a Google Cardboard or whatever, and you, like, use your phone, and you're like, oh, look, I'm in the Andes, like, looking around. Like, that's nothing. That's completely different than, like, putting on the headset and playing through Resident Evil 7 VR, or playing Beat Saber, or playing Astrobot.
Yeah.
Or even the Arkham game.
Yes.
Because here's the thing with the Arkham game that I laugh at. When that first came out, the reviews were not great.
No.
They were okay. And I was like,
Because the game is barely an hour long.
Yeah.
Right, and I get that. And I was like, there's no killer app for VR. But everything I've played in VR is cool, and it's an experience. And that's just it. You have to experience it. And I think everybody needs to try it at some point. And I know, I'm not saying go out and buy it, but find somewhere where you can try it. Because
It's the future.
it almost is. It almost is. I still want some traditional, like, just sit down, look at my TV gaming.
No, I want that treadmill thing. I want to be running around.
You want the haptics
Yes.
so you can feel like everything?
Yes.
No. Sometimes I just want to sit down with the controller and just play.
And most of the games for the VR do work exactly just like that.
Yeah.
You know, they place you in these really, really awesome situations. We talked about Battlezone. That actually feels really amazing.
Yes.
Eve Valkyrie actually kind of makes you almost feel like you're sort of like weightless in space and you're just sitting there in your chair.
Yeah.
There is that propensity in some games to, you know, make you want to throw up.
Yeah.
And I think that's something they're always going to fight with.
Yeah.
Because I think our normal, like, you know, sensory bodies are used to this universe and not used to the wonderful universes that you're exposed to inside. So I think there's always going to be that struggle, especially like trying to get people into it.
Right. Now, let's talk about the experiences we've had. Like, let's talk about specific experiences, and, like, I gotta bring up Beat Saber because that was my first one, and that's why I want to get.
I think that's going to be the gateway drug for a lot of people.
Yeah. Because, I mean, everybody's seen it played, and you're like, oh, it's just a rhythm game. But there's just something about it. Like, you're in there, you're in that tunnel, and the blocks are streaming at you, and it looks like you're holding lightsabers.
And it feels like
And you're just a freaking music Jedi. It's like, bam, 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 bam. And it's something so different from every other rhythm game I've played, because I'm a rhythm game fanatic. I love rhythm games. But this one is something so different. And, like, you get into the music, and, like, you're just part of that world, and it's so cool.
Yeah. In fact, like, I really kind of, after almost every time I play the VR, and I actually have to kind of tell myself to quit. It's not like, oh, I feel like done, I'm bored. It's never like that.
No.
And a game like Beat Saber is perfect for that because, you know, even though there's a limited number of songs, it gets, you know, harder and easier and stuff, of course, all the way through. And the main story mode is actually a lot of fun as well because they throw some, like, interesting challenges at you, but you don't want to leave.
But you get tired.
Yeah.
Beat Saber will wear you out, because as we know from the stream, it got sweaty in there. It got sweaty.
Yeah. We needed to rub it down.
Yeah.
It's hell.
But,
Nasty.
yeah.
Yeah. I just because I think one of the coolest things, and maybe what we'll do around, like, Halloween time, of course, is the horror experiences on the VR. So I played a little bit of Resident Evil 7.
No.
There's like an exorcism game as well.
Yeah. And I got was it Until Dawn: Rush of Blood?
Yes,
as
which
well.
is not really horror-esque. It's just like a rail shooter.
Yeah, but it's pretty scary.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. I enjoyed it. And all three of those experiences, like, made me forget that it was daylight out and made me forget that I was safe. and I think I enjoyed that quite a bit as well.
I mean, I only played a little bit of Resident Evil 7. I don't know if I can handle it in VR. Like, it's too much.
I think Among the Sleep is VR, so we should try that out.
Oh, no. Oh,
Yeah,
no.
you play as a little baby. You're gonna run around.
So Pants is our guinea pig for all those games.
yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'll do it. Why not? But,
I mean, my best experience is actually like they had to release a special controller for it because the Move controllers now are the PS3 Move controllers.
well, it's two of the ones with the balls on the top.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not even like the other one that was like nunchuck based. It's
There's no joystick or anything like that, which this is what the Vive has over PlayStation VR right now. It's just point and pick where you want to go, which sucks. But they released this bad guy.
You didn't tell me you were packing.
So, for some games, they have an aim controller, which actually has joysticks, and trigger, and buttons. It's very, very nice.
It's solid.
It
is
is
very solid.
Yeah, you can't really break it.
But like, it doesn't feel like one of the old Wii.
No. Oh, stupid peripherals where you'd snap that Wii controller into some kind of weird piece of plastic.
But this still does remind me of that.
Oh, it looks just like one of them, actually.
Yeah, I know. But
Yeah, it's
but
cool.
that's still really cool.
Yeah.
It is. And there's games like Farpoint and Bravo Team, which is pretty much like Siege, but in VR, where you're coordinating and breaking into a place, I guess a house or something, I don't know. You know, trying to do a drug bust. Going around with your nice little aim controller, which can actually move you around and shoot.
Nice.
Which is kind of cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, as far as experiences go, the Batman game, for as short as it is, like just being in the Batcave and like looking around and using the Move controller, seeing my hands and like opening drawers and picking things up and moving it around,
Playing
like,
the piano.
playing the piano, like it's just weird. It's an experience, and like you have to try it for yourself. Being able to look down and like see Batman, and like look in the mirror, and it's like, I'm Batman. Here are my hands, like Batman. And you do challenges with the batarangs, and like you're picking them off your belt and just throwing them at targets, and it was like it was natural. It felt natural.
That was actually my first experience in VR, was the Batman VR experience. And I am terrified of heights. But
Yeah.
Going to the city, staying on top of a building and looking down, I actually felt scared and like kind of woozy.
Yeah, when they first put you down into the Batcave and you're standing on that little pedestal, you're like, oh god.
Because they start you off on top of a building and like you're on like a catwalk outside, and like I look down, I'm like, oh no. But it's so weird. And the other thing is that night you had me play it.
Yeah.
On my way home driving, I was looking at my hands and I'm like, these don't feel like my hands. Something's wrong here.
This
like,
isn't the right universe.
It messed with my brain. What I do have to say though is this thing, while it is great and it works most of the time, it's not perfect.
No.
It has its issues. Slowtad has had drift with his, which causes some issues. Also, because it relies on the PlayStation camera, if you're not set up just right, your hands will disappear.
And me being tall, I had to set it up just right. But if I'm trying to pick up off the floor, like say if I'm in the game, like it just loses track of my hand, and then maybe I'll disappear, and I was like, I don't know what's going on.
I wish I videoed, or like kind of took some images of like my wife playing Job Simulator for the first time, because like we set it up down here actually in the studio, and like she tried to get to the coffee machine behind her, and she like tried to walk through the wall, like, couldn't get to it. It was like behind the wall. So it was pretty funny. But yeah, there's definitely some issues. It works a lot better in the living room upstairs. We have a lot more room to walk around, but not everybody has that. Some people have kids running around.
Yes.
We have pets as well, and when they like jump up on my lap when I'm in the middle of a game, I'm like, oh no, now I don't know what's going on.
Which, like, the point I want to make though was like the Vive, which is way more expensive. You need a high-end PC, and the Vive is a lot more money. Doesn't rely on the camera.
No,
and it functions a lot better.
But you're still tethered in with tons and tons of wires.
You are, and that's
Actually, they do have a battery pack now.
Oh, they do?
Complete wireless.
Oh, geez.
Oh,
Yeah, it's probably like twice the price of the Vive, but
if you've got the money and you're a PC gamer, that's the way to go. But if
you
you're
need a baller PC to run the thing.
Yeah,
as
right.
well.
But the PS4 VR does work really well with the PS4. It isn't as like great as a Vive, but it's a good way to go. And
there's probably not going to be as much like troubleshooting as well, because everything on PC, You know, unless you're just super adept at everything on PC, there's
Yeah.
always going to be some troubleshooting along the way.
We are not.
Yeah, with this one, you're basically just like, step here.
Yeah.
All right, stare at the TV camera. All right, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's VR isn't as gimmicky as I thought it would be.
No.
I take back what I said because originally it looks that way. It looks like what they tried to do with the Move, what they tried to do with Kinect, like what they've ever done with any kind of motion controllers. That's what it looked like it was going to be. And unless they did something really cool, it was never going to take off. I'm pretty sure it still hasn't entirely taken off.
Yeah, not yet.
It's got many millions sold, though.
It does. It does. It's
And actually, right after Christmas, it was hard to find them on the shelves because when they were lower in price, people went after it.
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
it's doing better than I thought it would, and I really want one. I really do. I just need to.
Yeah, and there are a couple of killer apps for it. I'll say, Astrobot is probably my favorite thing I've played on it.
Astrobot is amazing. What a great way to take VR and innovate the platformer.
Yeah, because as much as I enjoyed Mario Odyssey, last year, I feel like this eclipsed the experience of Mario Odyssey, though. Just feeling like you're in the room with all the little creatures as you're running around, looking over yourself and behind yourself and below, and that real sense of space in the room.
You're interacting with it too.
Yeah.
Like you're using your head to break down various barriers. You're using the controller and throwing out lines for the robot to walk
And
across.
Ninja Stars and
Ninja Stars
all
and
kinds
stuff.
of
It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
It's a great little it's a great game too. It's not just a gimmicky VR game.
No, it's a pretty decent platformer.
It's a
overall.
really good platformer that just incorporates VR really well into it. So, so that's the end of our VR episode. Do we have anything else to say about VR?
Jesus wept.
Jesus wept. But for Nerdstrodamus, I'm Dr. Pants.
Lambo.
I'm Punk.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, smash that like button, and don't forget to ring the bell so you can get notifications, because that'll let you know when we put a new video up, or stream, because we're up live every Friday streaming something.
And we have Nerdstrodamus.com where you can keep up with all of our nerdiness.
Right there on the front page will be the newest 3 or 4 things that we've put out and all kinds of ways to keep up with other things we've been doing. But this has been Nerdstrodamus, and we're about to head into another dimension, so we'll catch you some other time.